Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world. Hey, stop them! Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
What?
If you smile to your fear and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll find that life is still worthwhile. If you
What's so funny?
just
Freak!
Gotham has lost its way. What kind of coward would do something that cold-blooded? Someone who hides behind a mask.
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a comedy.
if you just smile.
So that was the first trailer for Joker. This is the film based off the iconic DC Comics villain. It's directed by Todd Phillips, who you might know from the Hangover movies.
Of all people to pick from, right?
Yeah, interesting choice. This movie has been hotly anticipated by DC and film fans. I think Martin Scorsese was originally attached to produce at one point. Leonardo DiCaprio is producing it. Bradley Cooper's producing it. So it's a superhero movie with air quotes. This feels like a more prestige, high caliber project than something like the Zack Snyder Batman movie. And this is our first look at it. So Adam, what did you think of the trailer?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I really agree with you on the dichotomy between a superhero movie and a prestige picture, like, you know, having Robert De Niro in the cast and Joaquin Phoenix, and then with the producers. If you just take the comic aspect out of it, if you don't even put the name Joker on it and you just show me that trailer without the Arkham references, I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of like a portrait of a psychopath. And that seems to be where they're leaning toward. I know Bradley Cooper had said in an interview a while back that I saw when he was doing press for the Hangover movies, he said like Todd Phillips is actually an auteur. Like he's kind of, you know, he got his big break doing the Hangover movies, but there's a lot of nuance in his visual direction and his character direction. And I mean, up till now, we haven't quite seen him flex those muscles. I mean, he did do a drama called War Dogs with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill that was kind of starting to get into a mix between comedy and some subject material with gravitas. But this is kind of like, this is even more in the direction of character drama than I expected. I mean, honestly, there isn't really much story presented in the trailer. I still don't know really what this movie is about.
Yeah, well, it's also interesting that we keep referring to it as a superhero movie, and yet it's definitely not a superhero movie. This is a supervillain movie,
Yeah.
and ironically, probably the first of its type. Like, we've had movies in the last several years about comic book villains. Like, we've had Suicide Squad, we've had Venom, and yet all of them have just ended up being superhero movies. You know, Venom turned that character into a superhero. Suicide Squad, although it was initially advertised as something of more of a dark take on the comic book genre, just ended up being Guardians of the Galaxy with DC characters, and not very good.
Yeah.
But this actually looks like a movie about a supervillain. You know, it is not, it looks like it's trying to humanize the Joker and sort of show us his perspective, but it's not turning him into a good guy. Like this, at least judging from this first 2 minutes of footage, like it looks like he's still going to be the menacing psychopath that we are well familiar with from the Batman comics.
Yeah, and more in line with Heath Ledger's Joker than Jared Leto's Joker to that point. Yeah. And it's interesting because most of the villains that we've seen that have had some kind of imprint, like Heath Ledger's Joker, have been a part of someone else's movie. I mean, really, even in the MCU, like I'd say one of the most memorable villains is Thanos, but that's, part of the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get any more ensemble than that. So to sit for a whole 2 hours with a single character who we're supposed to hate, but still be interested in, kind of like an anti-hero, that's interesting. And I mean, the trailer really hits all the buttons to get you feeling some empathy. And also when they cast Joaquin Phoenix, I was expecting him to like bulk up and take on a more traditional villain.
Yeah.
And in this trailer, he's very spindly and gaunt and almost like unnatural, sickly. And that's really cool as well. Like whenever actors do a physical transformation, it always, I think, elevates the performance, kind of like with Jake Gyllenhaal and Nightcrawler. It's a mixture of haunting and also causing empathy. Like you can tell this person's suffering just by looking at them, but you also don't, in any sense of the word, root for them.
There is a profound lack of Hollywood gloss in this footage, which is so interesting because, the Joker is such an iconic character and and Batman has such a global reach. You would think this, more mid-budget but big studio comic book movie would abide by at least the aesthetic rules of a Hollywood movie, and yet this looks much more akin to something that A24 would release. It just feels very real and gritty, and you sort of feel the grime coming off of Gotham in this footage, which honestly you really haven't felt in any other presentation of Gotham up till now. It's either been like really cartoony Tim Burton-y, or it's been more, dark and austere in the Zack Snyder.
Chris Nolan had a bit of grime, but not to anywhere near this level.
But this, it felt like a real place. It really popped off the screen in this footage, and honestly, like I'm excited to see a world that genuinely needs Batman. Like I think that's what really pleased me about this trailer and about this footage is it's like. It felt so depraved. It really felt like this dark, seedy, crime-ridden world that could actually exist as opposed to just a standard comic book version of that. And that's scary, but it's cool at the same time. So
no, I agree. I mean, just last night I watched Bumblebee, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. I absolutely loved it. But it is so glossy.
Yeah.
Just from the characters to the visual effects to the way scenes are lit to decorated. It's like we're supposed to believe these are like working class families in a kind of not so rich neighborhood, and it just comes off as completely insincere, which is fine because the rest of the movie is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of movie that I think takes care with every element of its aesthetic. I mean, it looks more like a Sidney Pollack thriller from the 70s than a MCU era superhero movie. To the casting, a lot of people are saying, I think that I'm seeing two predominant thoughts. One is which like, oh, this is going to be an Oscar lock. Like, first off, it's going to be, people are pretty sure that this is going to be an Oscar performance. And second off, a lot of other people are saying this kind of feels very much akin to Heath Ledger's Joker. I want to get your take on both of those because Heath Ledger did win the Oscar for his performance. And how close does it fall to that for you? Just from the little bit that we've seen.
It's really not that out there. I mean, people are talking about it like that's like, oh man, this is going to be a superhero movie that's vying for Oscars. And it's like, well, I mean, Black Panther just got nominated for Best Picture. The year before that, Logan got nominated for Best Original Screenplay. And then, of course, you have Heath Ledger playing this role, winning Best Supporting Actor, posthumously, unfortunately. But, I think this is definitely going to, if it's good and if it gets good reviews, which, I think it looks pretty good. But
Yeah, I do
if
too.
it does, I think we will definitely see Warner Brothers try and push him for an Academy Award. And of course, Joaquin Phoenix is a really incredible actor who's got a lot of Oscar caliber. So, but like I said, it will really depend on how the movie is. Todd Phillips he's an interesting director, like you said. Like the Hangover movies are, well, the first one was funny, and then the rest of them were just not very good. And then, of course, War Dogs was a quote-unquote Oscar movie, didn't really get nominated for any, but I thought was a little bland when Jonah Hill wasn't doing his Jonah Hill thing. But you know, he has a really good eye for filmmaking.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
knows,
just-
it might be a really, really good piece of filmmaking.
Just the direction, even from the Hangover movies, was like, to me, 3 steps above what most studio comedy
comedies,
direction looks like. And so I guess I always love these oddball choices. Never discount what a comedian can do dramatically. I mean, one of my favorite comedy turned drama directors is Adam McKay, and I think he's got a wicked eye. And you would never think of him to do a movie like The Big Short, but then you kind of look back and look at Talladega Nights and Step Brothers and other stuff, and you see the seeds of really good dramatic filmmaking and just a really strong eye for staging a scene and cutting a scene together. I'll admit I was skeptical at first when it came to them picking Todd Phillips, and you know, they were trying to have like a DC universe and a DC dark universe or something. I mean, it just reeked of another failure. And I mean, like, look, Suicide Squad, when the trailer first came out, it looked fantastic. It looked akin to something like this that was very textured and dramatic. And of course, there was a lot of studio intervention, but it turned into a total clusterfuck at the end of the day. And so, I mean, I'm hoping they just gave, for better or worse, I'm hoping the studio gave Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix their space to make whatever they wanted to. And we can just hope that it's going to turn out, you know, as well as this trailer is making it look like it could.
Well, like you were saying earlier, it does kind of beg the question of like, where does this movie fit in too? You know, is this a movie that's going to exist in the DC extended universe? Is this going to establish its own universe? Or is this movie kind of like Logan in just that it's its own thing, that it isn't concerned with connecting into the broader universe, that it is just a standalone story that the filmmakers felt needed to be told? And I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So let us know what you thought in the comments. Be sure to check out other content on our Screen Fever channel. Check out our Home Experience podcasts and my latest video essay on requels. If you want to know what that is, watch the video essay. Until next time, I'm Jackson.
And I'm Adam.
Have a great week.